I hope you enjoyed your first meeting with your marriage mentors. At the end of that meeting, I hope you feel like you know them, kind of their history, their personality, that they got to know you, that there's a bit of bond and trust that's beginning to develop. Now, at the end of that first meeting, you guys sat down and you looked at three evaluations to decide what you were going to talk about at this meeting. What I want to do is take just a couple of minutes to overview each of those subjects so that whichever you choose, you and your mentors are on the same page for the kind of thing that you'll be talking about tonight. The first of those subjects that you could have discussed is what are your expectations for marriage? And here are really two things that we're looking at. One, we want to make sure that marriage does not become our new Jesus. That Jesus and the gospel were fine when I was single, but hey, I'm married now. I don't really need that. So I set Jesus down. I have that DTR conversation where we define the relationship. I say, look, now that we're married, we were really close back then, but the relationship is going to change now that I focus on this new central relationship in my life. That's fine to do with your best friend. That would be destructive to do with your marriage because you're placing an expectation on your spouse that they'll just never be able to meet. And the second expectation that is common is that now that we're married and we've gone through this premarital counseling, we know everything that we need to know about one another. And what you need to realize is that marriage is going to be a growing relationship where you spend time learning and getting to know each other over the course of your marriage. And what is that going to look like? Now, the second area that you can look at is what does it mean for marriage to be a covenant relationship? Marriage is going to be unique from any other relationship that you've been a part of. And so it is great to ask those kinds of questions of what does it mean to relate to my spouse as a spouse? I mean, that's different from a friend or a parent or a boss or any other relationship that I've had. And as you went through that material, if that's what you chose, on looking at the marriage ceremony as a covenant making ceremony, I hope it made you excited about your wedding and raises lots of great questions. Or it may be that you're going to talk about role expectations within marriage. And here we give you a job description for a Christian husband and wife broken into 4 areas, and you guys can choose what to focus on within that. But the first part of being a good husband or wife is having the kind of character that can support a solid relationship. In that sense, your spouse should never have to demand of you the fruit of the Spirit. And what does it look like to express those things in the context of a home and a marriage? The second part of that job description is to be a solid friend that will be able to sustain a lasting marriage. Too often we give precedent to our friendship and we make things a priority for our friends that we think we can make up for later with our spouse. And marriage should be the example of friendship, not the exception. The third area of that job description is just what does it look like to be a mature and responsible adult, that your life systems work. This is one of the implications of what it means to leave and cleave, that marriage is for adults and that we can't go into marriage living as 2 kids who are going to share a house together, but we have to live as 2 adults who are thinking about and preparing for the future, who are making sure our life systems work well. And then built off of those things in the job description, we then break apart what are some of the unique expectations of a husband and wife that Scripture provides that are unique to each of you based upon your gender. Whichever of those you chose, I think it's going to be a great discussion that you're going to have. Now, once you've had that part of the discussion, you're going to end this meeting the same way you ended the last one. You're going to look at 3 evaluations that have to do with your next meeting on communication: listening, day-to-day communication, and conflict resolution. If you haven't already, take some time, fill out those evaluations online, email those results to your mentors in advance so that you can wrap up this meeting and set up what you're going to be talking about at your 3rd meeting. I hope you guys have a great night and great conversation. Thanks.